Harvey Weinstein abused women. Like, this is the New York Times broke this story, and everybody's shocked. Let me tell you, Meryl Streep says, I didn't know. I knew. I'm a screenwriter. I mean, there's no lower person on the guy who cleans your office at the end of the day is higher up the feeding chain than a screenwriter in Hollywood. I knew. And the funny thing is, I mean, let me talk for a minute about me in Hollywood. At the beginning of this year, I basically made a New Year's resolution that I was going to stop. I was in the Weinstein Company 2 weeks ago. I was there. But I basically made a New Year's resolution that I was going to stop pitching so much stuff, stop writing spec stuff, because I feel my politics has made me so toxic that there's really not a lot of chance of selling stuff. And I was only going to do it if I had some specific reason to do a particular project. I still do it a little bit. But, this is one of the reasons Knowles and I are doing Another Kingdom. We're doing this podcast, Another Kingdom, is because I want to, I do write novels. I still write these stories and I want to get them out there. Knowles, by the way, I should add, he's still not here, right? Yeah, this is my reaction to that.
I want that son of a dead. I want him dead. I want him dead. I don't care. What am I, alone in this world? Did I ask you what you're trying to do? Did I ask you what you're trying to do? Please. I want you to get this where he breathes. I want you to find this Nancy boy. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to on his ass.
Something about Knowles just ticks me off. It's not the hammering. Anyway, so the New York Times runs this story, right? That for years, Harvey Weinstein, and if you're not in Hollywood and you don't care about Hollywood, the reason they call Harvey Weinstein God is because he is the head of the first Miramax, then the Weinstein Company, the biggest independent producer out there. So he's not making the Star Wars or Spider-Man picture, but he's making Shakespeare in Love. He's making, oh man, he made everything. I can't even think. I mean, if it's not a superhero movie, he probably had his fingerprint on it somewhere. What was the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck picture that made them both stars? Good Will Hunting, he made that. I mean, he's just made, Pulp Fiction, another one. I mean, it's just, his name is on everything. So all I want to say about this to begin with, so the Times runs this piece, all these different women, usual thing, invites them up. They're actresses, some of them relatively big actresses. They come up to his room, his hotel room. He shows up naked, or he asks for a massage, or he asks them to, why do they always have such weird things? Why don't they just ask for sex? Like if it were me, if I was like an abusive, powerful guy, so just give me sex, Like these guys, it's like, he says, you want to watch me shower? Like, even I don't want to watch me shower. It's like, I'm in and out of the shower so fast. But this is what, this is a strange obsession. He wanted to be massaged. He wanted to have people watch him shower. But the one thing about this is everybody's saying, oh, this is finally a feminist moment, the great feminist moment. Everything's going to turn now. Finally, powerful men are not going to abuse powerless women. I mean, this is a town filled with the most beautiful, most insecure women on earth who want to make a profession out of being loved, right? And they go to these powerful guys, and these guys say, yeah, I'll give you a part, but you got to do all this stuff. That's never going to stop. It's never going to go away. It's a crime for which every man has a motive, right? So there are going to be guys who abuse it. But the thing about Harvey Weinstein is everybody knew he was abusive to everybody. And by the way, like I said, I was pitching something in his office 2 weeks ago. Just my saying this will be the end of that. They fired him today, but don't think he's gone. Do not think he's gone. This is ridiculous. I mean, the guy is a very, very powerful guy. And that's why the New York Times ran a story this morning basically saying they could not get anybody to go on the record. And one guy says to the reporter, silence is complicity. And she said, will you go on the record? No. It's just classic. It's classic. So just to give you, and also about the feminist thing, about the women thing, there is a very, very powerful gay mafia here that reputedly abuses boys too. And Weinstein, like I said, he abused men. I knew guys who worked for Harvey Weinstein. It was apparently, I can't say too much because I don't have the proof, but apparently it was a very, very frightening experience. And he had the reputation. The reputation was he yelled at people, he threw things at people. He was a big, burly guy and all that. He is a big, burly guy. So the New York Times had this story that 2 decades ago, the Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein invited Ashley Judd, the actress, to the Peninsula Beverly Hills Hotel for what the young actress expected to be a business breakfast meeting. Instead, he had her sent up to his room where he appeared in a bathrobe and asked if he could give her a massage or she could watch him shower. And she was thinking, how do I get out of the room as fast as possible without alienating Harvey Weinstein? Now, this is 20 years later she comes out with it. She doesn't tell anybody. She told the story at one point, but not giving Weinstein's name. So here is Donald Trump. He's getting on his helicopter, and they ask him what he thinks about the Weinstein story. This is cut number one.
I've known Harvey Weinstein for a long time. I'm not at all surprised to see it.
And then they asked him, why did Ashley Judd and all these other women keep quiet all this time? It's cut four.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the... I can do anything.
So Trump was right all along. And now all these people on the right, they're saying, well, Donald Trump just talked about it. I'm not buying that either. And Donald Trump, he was talking to Access Hollywood. He was talking about actually doing stuff. He doesn't sound like he was as abusive. And they don't have this train. What they found on Harvey Weinstein was this trail of payoffs, of six-figure payoffs to all these women to keep them quiet. But again, like I said, I don't know why he wasn't paying off the men as well. I mean, this is like people. This is who this guy was. And by the way, it's not just Hollywood being incredibly complicit and hypocritical about this. It's the New York Times. The New York Times had this story in 2004. Sharon Waxman, writing at The Wrap, which I think is CNN's showbiz page. She says, in 2004, I was still a fairly new reporter at the New York Times when I got the green light to look into oft-repeated allegations of sexual misconduct by Weinstein. She got the story. She found out he had a guy on his payroll who was procuring him women and he was abusing women. And she says, after intense pressure from Weinstein, which included having Matt Damon and Russell Crowe call me directly to vouch for this procurer he'd hired, and unknown discussions well above my head at the Times, the story was gutted. So everybody was keeping this thing quiet. All this stuff. I mean, this is a major story, not because he's going away, but remember, Harvey Weinstein came out when Roman Polanski was picked up. Where was he picked up? In Switzerland or Sweden? Roman Polanski, who drugged a 13, I'm talking off the top of my head now, 13 or 15 years old. She was a teenage girl, drugged her, sodomized her, was basically like ran away. He was a fugitive, so he got picked up overseas. Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, all these guys said, oh, the poor Roman Polanski. Roman Polanski has been given an Oscar, and other women have come out and said he did the same thing. So this is an absolute culture of corruption out here. This is a culture where, like I said, there's a lot of beautiful women who want stuff, a lot of powerful guys who've got stuff. What do you think they're going to trade it for? Even Weinstein put out this statement when he got caught by the New York Times. See, this is the other thing about Weinstein. He is a huge Democrat donor. So this is the entire complex, right? This is the media Democrat complex. I mean, we've been talking all this time about, every late night comedian, left wing, every movie, every Oscar show, we have to listen to their left wing. They're lecturing us. They're lecturing us because we're not as good as they are. We're not as wise as they are. They know what a terrible mistake we made when we elected Trump. They know that everything we want is racist and terrible and sexist. These are these people. These are these people. This is a huge Democrat donor. So Harvey, in one of these amazing moments of self-revelation, puts out this statement in which he starts by apologizing and then he tries to buy his way out of it. Listen to what he says. He says, I came of age in the 60s and 70s when all the rules about behavior and workplaces were different. Let's stop right there, okay? Because this is not a feminist issue. This is a human issue. You don't treat women like this because women are people. It's not that you don't mistreat them because they're women. You don't mistreat them because they're human beings, moron. It's like there is no culture. There was never a culture before, like, ancient days. There was never a culture in America where you thought, like, oh yeah, let's abuse women, and people thought, like, good idea. They may have said it behind the scenes, but there was never a time when that was acceptable to civilized, decent human being. You don't treat people like that. Come and watch me shower. I mean, I'd say that to Mathis, but that's a personal thing between the two of us. But anyway, so he goes on. He says, I've since learned it's not an excuse in the office or out of it to anyone. I realized some time ago that I needed to be a better person. How long does it take to figure out that you need to be a better person? Is there anybody who doesn't need to be a better person? All right, but my interactions with the people I work with have changed. I appreciate the way I've behaved with colleagues in the past has caused a lot of pain, and I sincerely apologize for it. Though I'm trying to do better, I know I have a long way to go. That is my commitment. My journey now will be to learn about myself and conquer my demons. Trust me, this isn't an overnight process. I've been trying to do this for 10 years, and this is a wake-up call. I cannot be more remorseful about the people I hurt, and I plan to do right by all of them. Okay, that's the apology part, right? Then, by the way, later he goes on, threatens to sue the New York Times, and he denies a lot of the stuff. But then he says, same statement, I am going to need a place to channel that anger. And this is in the heat of the Vegas shooting. I'm going to need a place to channel that anger, so I've decided that I'm going to give the NRA my full attention. I hope Wayne LaPierre will enjoy his retirement party. I'm going to do it the same I'm going to do his retirement party at the same place I had my bar mitzvah. I'm making a movie about our president. Perhaps we can make it a joint retirement party. I mean, this is garbage. This is like, don't hate me, I'm a Democrat. Don't hate me, I'm a liberal. And, the whole thing in the New York Times piece, the whole idea in the New York Times piece is to emphasize again and again, it says in the original Times piece, how much power he had and how little power the women had, right? So to keep you from saying, well, why didn't the women object? Why didn't they walk out? And listen, Harvey Weinstein in this business, people, I cannot tell you. It's funny because I was dragged into working in Hollywood. I never wanted to be in the movies. I only wanted to be a novelist. Even when I did it in my spare time. I must have sold, I've lost count of how many scripts I've sold or optioned, but it's probably around 20, something like that. But between the books and everything like that, I've sold it, but it's all been in my spare time because I never really want, but people want this so badly. They need it. They need to fill a hole in themselves. They need to be famous. They need to have people love them. That's what motivates a lot of these people. So they emphasize this, but did they emphasize that when Bill Clinton, the most powerful man on earth, was getting oral sex from a woman who could have been his daughter? I mean, she had zero power, but then suddenly they agreed. It was fine. It was a consensual relationship. They defended him. There were women, there were journalists, female journalists saying, oh, I'd do that just to protect my abortion rights. So it's like, it's complete hypocrisy. Let me just end this part about Harvey Weinstein with a little bit from Ross Douthat, the one truly semi-conservative columnist at Knucklehead Row at the New York Times. He says maybe Harvey's overdue exposure shows that the world has changed and progressive industries are finally feminist enough to put their old goats out to pasture. But it might just show that a certain kind of powerful liberal creep only gets his comeuppance when he's weakened or old or in the grave. The awfulness of Ted Kennedy at Chappaquiddick and after hours in D.C. can be acknowledged only now that he's no longer a liberal lion in the Senate. The possibility that Bill Clinton might be not just an adulterer but a rapist can be entertained now that he's no longer protecting abortion from the White House. The sins of Woody Allen, well, I'm sure Hollywood will start ostracizing him any day now. But the point is, we see it. That's the point. They're not, Saturday Night Live, not one joke about Harvey Weinstein, not one. And you know what Lorne Michaels said? Well, it's just a New York story. I mean, this is the biggest movie maker on the planet. This is ridiculous. It's just a New York story. Jimmy Kimmel, did Jimmy Kimmel go out and cry for the women who got molested? I'm crying for the women who got molested by Harvey Weinstein. Nothing from Jimmy Kimmel. These guys are fakes, they're phonies, they're cowards, every single one of them.